You mean the talking in the background?
So
yeah.
I prefer not to have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Andrew. Andrew.
I would say he's like screw you guys. Screw you guys. That's poor dude. He's like
I with him too much.
the look on his face was like scolding my dog for peeing on the carpet. All right, so what we're talking about is the gauge of steel for these sliders. And are we calling these sliders?
Yeah, it's a slider. To me, it's a slider.
Yeah.
Glass goes up and down in it.
So let's grab that rubber piece, that little oh, here it is. Here it is.
I brought it over.
All right, so what we were looking at was on the previous doors we did, the steel, the gauge of steel that we used was, obviously a smaller gauge steel. Sorry.
Cut.
I know he's talking, but that's all right. That's Chuck. He talks very loud.
Action.
What we can do is, I'm just looking at what the discussion we're having right now is the thickness of the sliders. So just
cut.
Hey, we need to hit up the booth for a seat.
Hey, Chuck, give me like 20 minutes. Give me like 20 minutes.
That's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
Thank you.
We'll make it quick. We'll make it super quick.
Action.
But yeah, so what I was
cut.
all right.
You can talk, just don't shout.
It's all good. It's all good.
Let's restart.
I know, right?
Action.
All right. So what we're doing is we're looking at different. We're talking about sliders, so just quick update, and you could plug this in, right?
Yeah, we can plug it in.
To give you guys just a quick heads up on where we're at on these doors, over here at Richards, and we're looking at. We've done the preliminary slider install, and one of the things that came up is the grommets. These are basically the rubber seals that are OEM to the front doors of an FJ. And what we're doing is we're utilizing the same rubbers for the door openings for the new slider. What we're looking at right now is the gauge of steel for these sliders. So just here, let's kind of show this off a little bit. Here's where we stand with it so far. You've got the door relatively sized up as we speak. You can see. You can see all the cutting and the modifications that went into this. You can see the extent of work that was done on these doors. So take a look at it, right? All this cutting that went in here. Behind these plates serve as the holder for the actual regulator and the motor.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. So the previous installation that we did, these had bars that went across the frame rail or the door rails, and that's what we used to secure the regulator and the actual power motor in place. What Richard's done for simplicity and for hanging the door panel better and for production is we're building these plates, and these plates serve as the holding for the regulator and the motor itself. These are the guides that go in. So you can see these metal guides, and you can see the extent of cutting that went on in the actual door frame itself. So Richard, I mean, are you? So what you're thinking is maybe going with a little bit smaller gauge steel because of the rubber grommet.
Yeah, because right now this steel measures at 1/8, and I'm thinking because the grommet dropping down to 1/16, just to have the lip of the grommet actually hug the edges as like we intended for it to.
Yeah, so it'll match the front door. Got it. Yeah, so what he's talking about here is getting a nice fit and having the rubber overhang the actual slider itself to replicate that of the front window. So going with a little bit smaller gauge steel in here. This is a little heavier gauge steel than what we're seeing on the front doors from the factory. So we're talking about possibly using a little bit smaller gauge steel for these sliders. And essentially we have a functional window. Let me just stand this window up real quick, or this door up real fast, and I'll show you kind of what it looks like and where we stand. Let's see here.
That's the door up.
There you go. Door closed. There you go. So, and then what you're seeing here is a plate that we are actually installing to make this process a lot easier. Is a fitment panel that will fit in here and will serve as the holder place, you know, for the smaller window. Again, just trying to share with you guys kind of where we're at in this entire process and the entire build. It's nice for you guys to see what goes into making this, and what you have to realize is that a lot of modification. Right now what we're doing is we're struggling with the bolt that holds this hinge in place, is preventing the window from coming all the way down. So there's talk that we might shift this over a little bit more to clear this inside bolt, because you could see this window glass comes down and it's preventing the window from coming all the way down. My plan is to have this window come all the way down like we did in our our first pre-production doors. So here you go. Here's our update. This is one window, one door.
This is one door. It's just part of the process. Like you can see, I have my little notes of just trying to figure out like how to keep the curve of the glass in the door. And initially the issue of it hitting wasn't there because I didn't have the curve on the actual mechanism, the guide.
Okay.
So once I figured out the curve up top and how to follow that curve,
because you have to replicate that at the bottom.
Yeah. Once I added the slider on the bottom inside, then this became an issue.
Yeah.
So I have my little notes where I had to go 3/8 down on this spacing and 1/8 down on this spacing.
Interesting.
Just to get the curve in there.
Yeah. And then our plan is what, to build a plate in here, some kind of welding plate that welds to the back side of this?
Yeah, we're going to plate this off.
Okay.
That side's going to get plated off on the corners into this, and then whatever door panel you make will cover up the bottom side of it.
Got it.
Whatever it's not covered.
And then you're going to also have, on this side over here, you're going to have another upper rail slider.
Yeah, we're having an upper rail.
Okay.
Not going to waste my time on putting in what I cut out.
It doesn't
now.
make sense now, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll do it once we drop down to 16th.
Okay. What is this right now?
This is an 1/8.
1/8, okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to go down to a 16th?
Yeah.
Okay.
I started with an 1/8 just because it's easier to work with thicker materials.
Right.
Because you have material to get rid of.
Yeah, well, I saw your angle, your bender that you designed to accommodate this bend, and I love that idea.
Yeah, with thinner stuff is if you mess up, you just start all over. With thicker stuff, you can work the metal to get it back to where you were. But we do know now that it needs to be thinner.
Yeah, yeah. So the idea for that is because we wanted to keep the rubber grommet, again, to match the front windows. And the little things you have to do, right?
Yeah.
It's
a lot of little things.
A lot of little things just to make it all look like it belongs there. So I would say, at this point, we just, continue down this path, and we're going to try the new smaller gauge steel, the 16th gauge. Maybe position it a little bit so that we can clear it where the window glass falls all the way down into the channel. That's the hope. Just remember there is a belt molding that fits on the outside of this door, so it's about what, a 3/4 of an inch shy of closing all the way.
Yeah.
And that will likely get taken up just by the rubber molding that attaches to the outside of the door skin. So it may clear all the way anyway, but it's looking great. This is where the seat belt assembly attaches, so this is all free and clear. And then, of course, our door panels that we make will have a big square cover here that dips down, and then the cover will also lock here. Something that I was going to talk to you about too, and this is where it gets interesting, is that when these doors are open, there's really no way to close them. So the door panel, I may end up having you cut a little slit in here so that we could build a pocket on the door handle itself.
Okay.
Or the door panel itself, so it acts as a holder, so it kind of fits into a pocket, as opposed to having a strap. I worry about a strap because a dog can chew on it if you have dogs in the back, and it's just
we can have something that extrudes out that makes the pocket. Instead of going in.
And then my carbon fiber guys will easily be able to adjust that to compensate for it. So when you're closing the door, you'll be grabbing the pocket, and it'll have a handle on it, and you'll be able to close the door. Just wanted to give you guys quick heads up on where we're at. What's going to happen next, like he said, is smaller gauge steel, maybe do a little adjusting, and then do our final tacks and welds to kind of shape the door, and then move on to the next door. Right? Any other big challenges you ran across? Or
big challenges? No, it's just the placement of the glass, because it just narrows down very quickly. Yeah, I know, it does. And that's what we ran into, when we originally did this. We thought, there's no, when Adrian first did this build, the first thing he said is, there's no way. And then we started cutting things, and he's like, okay, well, hang on, I see a way. No, this is how this started. I was like, oh, actually, I don't think you can do this. And I see the photos, and I'm like, oh, wait, they've done it. Well, you just did it. And it works. So, we're there. A lot of questions, a lot of people asking about the cost and what it's going to take to build these. And we don't have the exact answers yet. As you can see, it's still, a work in motion. And our plan is to, build the first two, move on to the white FJ doors, build those. And then we're going into full production. I found the glass manufacturer. It's local. I mean, it's in the country. They've agreed to do 200 runs. So that's 200 sets of basically 4 pieces of glass. And you can imagine, I think that's setting us back about $8,000, $9,000 to have all those pieces made. And they are going to be DOT compliant, and they're going to be factory tinted, to match the rear, the very far back windows. And then we're going to have a really clear idea on what it's going to cost to make these. Richard's going to do all of the fabrication work to every door shell. We may go out and buy a bunch of brand new doors and mod the doors and build the kits and buy the regulators and buy the window mechanisms and buy the power window units and put all those together, and we'll be able to compile a realistic number. I don't have it yet. So I know a lot of people are asking, just be patient, we're working on it. I just wanted you guys to see the progress. For those of you who don't want to purchase brand new doors from us, yes, you could send us your doors, and that will save you the trouble of having to have your doors paint matched and acquire the stickers and the decals. We just ask you that you tear the door down in its entirety before you bring it. The glass could stay in place, but we could work with the door skin just as it sits here, and then we'll go ahead and make the modifications to the door, install the actual window system, and mail you that door back. And when that door gets back, you could take all of the components off of it and put it back in, and get away with not having to purchase a new door from us and having it painted and having it, new decals ordered for it. So yes, there is that option as well, right? Yeah. And if there's any additional questions or suggestions with anyone that has any good ideas that owns a FJ and would like something to happen back there, I don't know, something that could help our process out. It's a great idea. Feedback from the FJ owners that are going to be asking for these doors. It's really important that we hear from you guys. So, any advice? I know one person mentioned a cup holder, and I thought originally that's something to think about. The problem is that, God forbid, if anyone forgets that their cup is in the cup holder and you slam this door, because it opens awkwardly. All you FJ owners know that these are short, little, skinny doors, and if you close it, whatever's in that cup's going to be all over your lap.
So I don't know that a cup holder is going to really work on this door just because of the size of it. I love the idea, but I don't know that it'll actually serve all that well. So, but we could certainly build some pockets in the door,
Yeah, pocket would be a great
to hold
idea.
a phone,
Yeah.
or even an iPad possibly. So we'll address that once the final door is laid out, and we get to our carbon guy or our panel guy, the guy that's building all my fiberglass molds. That's something that we'll talk about. But any ideas? We're talking about offering them in fiberglass. We're offering them in the door panels, that is. Offering the door panels in full fiberglass. It'll have a coated, textured finish to match the original door. And then, of course, carbon fiber is another option. We did our original prototypes. If you look back at some of our videos, you'll see our original prototypes have carbon fiber door panels. So, but yeah, great point. If you guys have any ideas or suggestions, there is the shipping expense of getting these things crated and shipped. We don't want them being damaged. So the crates, I'm going to use a company that's across the street from my office that specializes in building crates, and they use wood crates. So these will likely have to be crated in a way that the doors, the skins, they don't get damaged. We can't afford to have a damaged door come back to you, especially if you're sending us your painted door that matches the rest of your car. Just going to have to be extra careful about how we treat that. These we're not being extra careful with because we know these are prototype doors, and these will likely end up being painted on whatever car they end up on. But yeah, love the idea. If you guys have comments, please let us know and pass it on to other FJ owners. If you like what you see, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. A lot more on this build coming. So thanks for watching. Right?
Yep. Thanks.